Welcome to the jungle. That gets us started today. I feel like that was a perfect theme for the movie that our director guest just kind of oversaw, kind of put out. It just came out this past weekend. Man, if this song doesn't get you pumped up, just to hear some positive content, be able to just charge forward with your day, I don't know what will. Welcome to I Could Never Be, the show that helps you relate to the kind of people that you put on pedestals every day and every week, maybe in your rise to success, whether it be actors, athletes, musicians, people in business. And I don't know about you guys, but I needed this today. You know, this past weekend, I kind of got bogged down. There's a lot of just negativity, I feel, in the news and Twitter and all over the place. And now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of negative events going on, but I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, kind of seek out the negative or want to be able to find that, to be able to put out maybe a misleading headline or tweet. And that's, you know, it gets to you at a certain point. But that's why I love this show. That's why I love the content that we're putting out. And that's why I love today's guest that we have on. He is a movie director, producer, and writer, but more importantly, he's a go-getter. He came out of the gate strong with Wolf Creek, which grossed $28 million on just a $1 million budget. I'll let you do the math as to the percentage there. Amazing, though. He has since continued to shine, directing stars like Kevin Bacon, Sam Worthington, and his latest feature film just came out this past weekend, Jungle, which starred Daniel Radcliffe. Please welcome Greg McLean.
How you doing?
How you doing, man? You having a good day?
So far, it's getting better every minute.
Having a good day. I know you've been busy because Jungle just came out this weekend. I know you've been running around doing a lot of promotions for that, and obviously, you know, that came out. Is it a good feeling when a movie like that comes out? A relief, maybe?
It's always nerve-wracking when you release anything because you're waiting for people to comment. But, you know, we've had, you know, I mean, the movie is based on a true story. It's a really inspirational, uplifting, you know, tale. And I've been doing press with the real guy who experienced the adventure himself. So it's good fun to kind of reconnect with him and reconnect with the actors and, you know, share this story. And we actually had a screening last night and we're all there. A lot of the actors were there and we did a Q&A and it was just, you know, it's such a wild, you know, tale. And it's interesting to see how it moves people, and it was great just to kind of reconnect with those guys. Yeah,
and that's in theaters nationwide. And if people want to obviously be able to check it out, you can Google that. You can find the nearest theater. But to be able to follow you on Twitter, it's at Greg ECP.
Correct.
What does ECP stand for? I got to know.
Emu Creek Pictures.
Oh, okay.
Emu is the large flightless bird from Australia that Americans can't pronounce. Can you say emu?
Emu?
Yes, you can.
Yes, I did it.
It's really, really funny. It's one of the few things that Americans really can't pronounce because they say emu. Because emu is not really part of the vernacular here. And constantly people say, what's the name of your company? Emu Creek Pictures? It's emu. So no, it's called, because I grew up in a small town called Emu Creek. So it's the name of my production company.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I like it. I like the story behind it. And you can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, at TheOnlyMC. If you're joining us live on YouTube, we appreciate it. Live at 4:10 every Monday. But iTunes listeners, we appreciate you as well. Please like, rate, comment, give us 5 stars. Tell your friends. Again, love spreading that positivity. And I want to be able to spread as much news as I can about Jungle because it's one of those movies that just keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Right.
And you love those movies.
Yeah.
Was this next one when you heard the story and obviously that it is based on a true story? Were you like, this is it. I need to be able to get it attached to this project?
It was. I mean, that's exactly what it was. I read the script, and it's a you know, it came to me as based on a book, true story, which was fascinating. And I read the script, and it is, you know, the story is an amazing adventure tale, and it's kind of this one guy who gets lost in the Amazon jungle and survives against incredible odds. And then also, I don't want to give away what happens at the end of the story, but you know, 2 of the 4 people come back and survive the journey. But what happens to the main character played by Daniel Radcliffe is this incredible battle against the elements and also a battle against himself to try and find resources within himself to survive this impossible situation. So I was kind of inspired by it. It actually made me cry when I read the story. When I read the book the first time, just the end of the story, I just couldn't believe that it was real. And I met with the author and talked about it and just fell in love with the story and, you know, wanted to get involved.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, you have to find something. It's not physical strength. It's like it's mental strength and emotional strength at that point. He's getting lost in you said the Amazon.
Right.
He kind of goes there, for people who don't know the plot, he kind of goes there and wants an adventure.
Yes.
Wants to be able to experience something that is not a tourist thing. And he gets himself into that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when he was 21 years old, he was in the Israeli army, went traveling around the world to find himself. And he was really seeking adventure, and he had this romantic idea about going to South America and discovering lost tribes and finding, you know, hidden treasures, and had a very romantic idea of what he wanted. met with two friends, an American guy called Kevin Gale and a Swiss guy called Marcus Stamm. They became really close friends backpacking around South America.
Yeah, met in South America. He didn't know these people before he got there.
No, they all hooked up on the tourist trail. And then they met a guy called Karl Ruprechter, who was basically a Austrian who was living in South America, who approached Yossi and they got talking and said, "Look, I live in the jungle. I know all about where these tribes are. Do you want to go on a journey with me and your friends?" So they end up going with him into the jungle. And what seems like an innocent kind of fun time, and it is for a while, turns really deadly because Carl turns out to be not what he said he was, and the jungle itself changes their own personalities as they deal with, their friendship kind of dissolving and ultimately splitting, and that's what causes the real problem. Because then once they split, things go to
Then you're really on your own.
You're on your own. Yeah, it goes horribly wrong.
And it's I'm sure that growing up in Australia, I mean. The elements when you're out there, there's a difference between reading about them maybe and experiencing them.
Right.
Is that maybe a comparison of what maybe the outback of the insects, the creatures, the reptiles that are there?
I think the outback kind of tames into, the outback is like West Hollywood compared to the Amazon jungle. In the Amazon jungle, basically, which I didn't know until I went there to study, to prepare for the film, but when you go into that environment that's so kind of primitive, everything there is designed to kind of eat any new flesh. So people going in deep into the real Amazon, they're kind of like a walking smorgasbord for all the insects and parasites and bugs and things because they are just drawn to food. And so that is an incredibly dangerous part of the world. I mean, I'm not saying that Outback Australia isn't dangerous because obviously there's a few deadly things there as well, but the Amazon is something else. And the movie kind of demonstrates what he went through and trying to survive there as a person lost in that jungle.
I was going to say, the fact that you went there, what did you know a bunch of this stuff before you went there, or what did you learn maybe throughout this movie?
Well, I didn't know much. I did a movie in South America before this. I made the Belko experiment before this movie. We also shot that out of Bogota in Colombia. This one we based out of Bogota as well, but went into the jungles. I didn't know much about the Amazon. I didn't know much about it at all. But hanging out with Yossi, who is the real guy who went through the journey, I just learned so much about the culture there and about the environment and about. I mean, he's become a real kind of eco warrior. He went back to South America after the experience and set up a resort in the middle of the Amazon to help a tribal culture that was going to be wiped out unless they found a way to survive. So he went back there and spent 3 of his life setting up this environmental center to help people come and experience the Amazon firsthand. But it's an amazing place, and you could spend a lifetime studying just a small part of it because it's so rich with life and so rich with different ecosystems, and it's really an amazing place.
I always joke with friends, it seems like the true story, people love hearing true stories in movies, and I joke with friends about whether things are, hold on, I have it written down here, based on a true story, based on true events, or inspired by true events.
Watch out for inspired by. That one gets a little bit loosey-goosey with the facts.
Like one thing happened at this one point in history, and now in a different place we're making this other film about these different people, but one thing is true.
Yes, it's like when they say on a movie poster, from one of the producers of some particular, it's like, which one was it? Because they're like, it's always fine print. From one of the people involved in this big title show.
For one of the people who lived in a different part of the world at the same time that this was going on.
This producer had lunch with Steven Spielberg. Yes, I love that.
Oh, man. But this seems to be certainly the former. This is really kind of a true story and really based on that, though.
Right. This is we're not that. Like, we basically when I come onto the film, the script had been around for a while, and people had I could see evidence of people trying to make it more movie-ish or more sort of Hollywood. And I went back to the book and said, why aren't we just telling the story? Because the book is written so honestly and so truthfully, because it was written when he was 23 years old, and he was just telling what happened, and the book's really powerful because of that.
It's raw.
And it's not affected in any way. So I thought, let's just tell it like that. And so basically my job was to strip all that stuff out and tell the story as simply and honestly as I can, because to me that was the most powerful telling of the story. So everything in the story is pretty accurate. I mean, we compressed some events where they walked, they didn't walk over 10 mountains, they walked over one, because you'd be just watching a 5-hour miniseries of guys walking in the jungle. But it's pretty accurate. We try to capture the essence of the people and the relationships and the places. And
I love that. And I think too many people, they try to sensationalize it instead of being like, this is a great story.
Yes, right.
Like you can tell this story really well. You don't need to add 1,000 snakes in a pit and stuff. Like,
Yes.
you don't need that.
Right. Exactly.
Daniel Radcliffe, the main star, what was it like working with him on set? Obviously he's known for Harry Potter.
Yep.
The totally different atmosphere, totally different role. What was it like working with him?
He was great. I can't say enough good things about Daniel Radcliffe. As a person and as an actor, for someone so globally famous to be so centered and so cool and so conscious of what it means to be, he understands the fact that he's, a global superstar in his face. Even the little villages in the back box of Columbia we were shooting, you'd drive past this little village that was basically a house that was like a few bits of tin on the side of a road, and there's a Harry Potter poster there.
Really?
And it was really amazing. And then when we went into those villages, all the kids would be crowding around watching us shoot in those back streets, and they're kind of, amazed that he's there. And it was really amazing and touching because he's so great with the fans and stuff. But
yeah.
He's amazing because he hasn't let that go to his head in any negative way. He basically is, aware of what it is. Here's the interesting story, and it kind of still amazes me. When we were shooting the last part of the movie in Queensland, because we shot half in Colombia, the other half in Queensland and Australia, I had to go and grab Daniel one day to come and do some pickup line that we missed or something. And I went, opened his trailer, and basically his trailer was wall to wall, like floor to ceiling, with Harry Potter books and stuff. All the crew had been giving stuff to him and to his assistant to sign for his thing, and he'd said yes to every one of it. So at the end,
so the books were from the crew or from
someone's children or someone's kids and stuff. Because working with Daniel on there, oh my God, I'd love to get a signed book. So the whole trailer was filled with stuff that people wanted him to sign. He was going to spend like the last part of his entire day on set just sitting there doing all this signing and stuff.
Wow.
As a way to show thanks to all the people. He could have just said, look, I'm too tired, I'm going to go and take a shower. But he basically just spent the rest of the day signing stuff for people because he understands what that character and that those stories mean to people, because they're really, incredibly empowering, amazing stories. And he's part of that, and he can see that. And he's just a, awesome guy. But as an actor, in order to make the movie and actually do it authentically, when we first spoke on the phone, I knew we had to find someone who was completely going to put 250% into the role, because it's a real person. We can't let him down. I was scared of, letting him down and him being disappointed with the movie. And also,
you have to be able to study up. You have to be able to do your research and become like this person, not become like a person you create.
Right, exactly. And then he spent, weeks learning the Israeli accent, and he spent, there's a massive physical transformation in the film. So he kind of, he vanishes into the character of the movie, and that's Daniel being a professional actor, trying to be, he's focused on just doing great craft, which is really inspiring as a director, because that's what you want from your actors.
Awesome. Well, he's great, and again, the movie is great. We want to be able to promote that as much as possible. Go see it. We'll keep you on the edge of the seat. As of a lot of other movies, to be able to move into a lot of the other movies are very much the same way. You love working on the movies that maybe keep people on the edge of the seat or have that same kind of genre. What is it about those movies?
I think I grew up watching Alfred Hitchcock films, and I kind of gravitated towards, thriller, kind of scary, that kind of film. I think I don't know. I think something Hitchcock was, famous for saying was about basically cinema is about intensity. It's about how much intensity you can put on the screen, and that can be through suspense, through all different techniques. But I kind of look for movies that let the audience know they've been through an experience. I really can't stand movies where I just kind of watch and go, I want to know I've been moved powerfully by something. So I try and find stories that have a very powerful idea in them or an emotion in them. And sometimes, and horror films and thrillers are fun because you get to play with very primary emotions like fear or suspense or dread and those things, which are really fun as a filmmaker because you get to actually see the audience react very directly.
Yeah.
Which is very entertaining and fun. And also, for this kind of story, I just found it very powerfully emotional and very inspiring. And I think after doing a bunch of horror films, which I really loved, I thought I'd love to do something that's a different kind of thing where a lot of my films, it's someone trying to take a life. This one's about someone trying to save a life. And I thought it would be great to try and do something in that tone and, tell an inspiring story.
Awesome. I love that. Obviously, we're all about inspiration on this show. Growing up watching Alfred Hitchcock film, how young were you when you knew that you wanted to do this? Or did you always maybe be working on a movie project or thinking of a script when you were younger?
I actually started out, I went to art school, so I was going to be a painter, like a fine artist for many years. And I was, I could just draw naturally very well, very early on. So I was always drawing. I spent the whole first part of my life drawing. And I went to art school, and then it wasn't until sort of almost towards the end of that I thought, I'd always been obsessed with movies, but never really made the connection that I could do it. And then I applied I wrote some short films, and I applied for some to this grant to get the to make a short film, and I won it. And I was so surprised. I thought, oh my god, I know nothing about working with actors. I better go and learn to work with actors.
What did you have to put forward for that grant? Did you have to put together a project,
a pitch? I had to put forward. It was to help people who had kind of big ambitions and big dreams. And I was living in a small town called Bendigo in Nowheresville, Australia.
Yeah.
And I got it. And I was so surprised that I thought I'd really better quickly learn how to work with actors because I had no idea. And so I went to drama school for a year, and I did that in order to learn how to work with actors. And then from that, going to drama school led to directing commercials and theatre, and I went all the way around through realising that maybe I should start writing my own scripts. And then I wrote a bunch of screenplays over a couple of years. And then after a while of struggling to get those made, I finally got my first one made, which was Wolf Creek in 2005.
You said that you didn't know if you could do it, or you didn't know that you could be a director. Why?
I just didn't think it was something that I could ever. I just couldn't. I thought it was done by other people, and I never really, it was a million miles away.
Just because it was that small town, you thought I can't. From my beginnings, I can't get to that place.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a little tiny country town with.
How many people were in your town?
Probably 80,000.
Okay.
It's not tiny.
I grew up in a town of 1,200, so I was just wondering. I always hear like small towns.
Well, the school that I went to, but I lived in that's the town, but I lived out in the bush, or what you call the woods. So the primary school that I went to had like 24 kids in it. So that was kind of our community. It was a rural farming community. So the big town was the 80,000, but we were out in the bush there. So we just had a big farm, and we just ran around, shooting and riding motorbikes and stuff. So it was kind of that kind of, upbringing. But yeah, so coming from that environment, it was hard to think of the idea that you could get to make movies. And
was that an environment where people kind of did what their parents did, or you kind of
It was very much like you grow up and you go and you get a trade and you learn to build or do stuff practically. And most of my family were doing very practical kind of things. But I just wanted to be an artist. I spent my entire life, looking, I was very into comic books, I was very into art and very into music and very into all that kind of stuff. And I just sort of was lucky enough to have parents who just kind of said, do what you love to do.
That's awesome.
And eventually it'll work out. And I spent many years really just sort of not really knowing what I was doing, but I was just pursuing interests creatively, and managed to survive long enough to be able to, keep intact. And
were you working side jobs at that point?
Yeah, I was doing all kinds of crazy jobs. I was doing.
What do we got?
You name it, whatever crappy jobs you can think of.
Factory work, like waiter.
All that, yes, all of that. Any kind of crappy old job you could possibly think of. But it was all because I was kind of committed to basically pursuing my dream. I didn't want to kind of compromise that by just going off, because I knew if I got started doing another career completely, I would never get back on track. And a lot of that was really struggling. I spent, I had one period there where I was working for a company, and the company went bust, and a friend and I also was in the same situation. We're both filmmakers, and we suddenly found ourselves completely and utterly broke. And I moved into a place that I was renting with other people as my office, so I was sleeping on my couch for some time before, and it was just at the time when we had our final, we were trying to raise the finance for my first film. And it was really edge of the seat stuff. It was literally, this was the last kind of roll of the dice. It was literally like, if this one doesn't work, then what am I going to do? I mean, was seriously close to giving up.
And that was Wolf Creek?
That was Wolf Creek, yeah.
Which grossed $28 million.
Yeah, I think it's actually much more than that, but I think that's what's on the internet. But yeah, so that was, we made that as a last ditch kind of like, because I've been writing all these screenplays, but they were very big in scale. Because when you start out, you go, why can't I write a Star Wars? Why can't I write a huge space epic? You can, but you can't think that you're going to produce it or direct it because it takes so much money. So eventually I thought, why don't I write something really small and really doable and lower the bar to entry to sort of zero, make it so cheaply that no one can possibly say no. It's going to be, one guy, bunch of kids, a highway and some stuff. And by doing that, I got it financed, and we made the movie, and we made the film as an Australian independent film. It got bought out of Sundance Film Festival. It got selected for Sundance, which was amazing, and then it got selected for Cannes. So we went to those two international festivals. And it was just a really extraordinary kind of ride. It was good fun.
How long was that period of, like you're saying, you're living on the couch and you're trying to get this to you realize that it has become something when it's at the film festivals?
I think, winding it back, there was probably about a 6 or 7 year period. I wasn't living on my couch for 7 years, but I was probably struggling to get films made actively for probably about 6 or 7 years, where I was trying and failing. And look, the failing part was really important. Like it was running against a wall and hitting it, and it not working, trying again, it not working, applying for financing places, not getting it. Repeatedly. And I still actually keep all the letters. I cherish all the rejection letters I've got, because in Australia we have a government financing system for films as one of the ways to finance films. And, I have all these lovely rejection letters of, thanks for your application, it's great, but we're not going to fund you. And it's interesting because I learned a lot from that, from just basically about perseverance and maybe that's why I related to this story about perseverance, because I think it's a really crucial factor in any kind of success, is basically being able to, to take rejection and understand that it doesn't really mean anything. And there's so many factors in why something gets chosen rather than you for any particular thing, and to know it's not personal.
Was that a lesson that you learned right away, or a lesson maybe 3 or 4 rejection letters in you just had to tell yourself?
Look, it was probably, I had some fairly interesting experiences early on where I wrote a screenplay and I kind of lost it to a production company and realized the kind of cutthroat nature sometimes of film industry, and I really realized the necessity of taking a bit more control, which is why I became a producer, because I thought, I don't want to have that kind of careless thing happen again. So I thought I'll just go be the producer myself and make my own company, and I'll produce it so no one can fire me, and I'll control my stuff. And then that's how we kind of made Wolf Creek like that. And that's why, 10 years later, I'm show running a spin-off TV show, second season coming out this year. Because I thought I'd just rather control it than I saw how fickle it could be if you didn't have that kind of control.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, that is a spin-off of Wolf Creek TV.
Yes. Yeah, so we did, Wolf Creek 1, then a feature film sequel, then a first season of TV show last year, and then we're just finishing the second season of the Wolf Creek TV show right now.
Awesome. Where do you see, how many seasons do you think that can go? Are you planning that, or is that this story arc is a new story arc from the previous one, but it sets up a whole new idea. So hopefully people really like this one, and we get another season. It'd be great. And it's a really, I'm super excited about this one, because it's just it's really, we've got a great writing team, some awesome directors working on it. I directed the first 2, and it's super fun. Awesome. Well, the movie obviously was, we're talking about the incredible success, but I think anytime you have something like that, there's pressure almost that comes along with it. How long did you maybe feel the pressure? How long did it take? You're riding this high. What was that high like coming, and then I have to do another project? Right after Wolf Creek, you mean? Yeah. Well, I did. I basically, I was aware that sometimes people make something that gets noticed and then spend a long time choosing the next thing and and I feel like that was a mistake to wait too long. So I really just got something into production straight away, and basically I made my second movie, Rogue. Rogue was in 2007, right? Yes. 2 years later? Yep. And so that was actually the original script I wanted to do, and that was what I was trying to get made, and I lost that script to a production company, and then after the Wolf Creek came out, I got the rights back. And then I went and made that as my second film. And I did that straight away in order to not get caught up in anything. I thought I'm just going to go and make another movie. And made that film, which was a really great experience. It didn't get, it kind of had, it was like the best of times and the worst of times. We had a great experience making it. It wasn't distributed particularly widely in the US. We had a distributor who didn't like the film for various reasons. They were kind of angry about the amount of control we had making the film, and it was someone who was in the news right now who didn't particularly like relinquishing control. But it's funny because it's weird. I'm doing a lot of chat about Jungle at the moment, and it's so weird how many people have seen Rogue and how many people just love that movie. Yeah. And that film was a real labor of love for me, and it's because I adore that kind of film. I love creature features, and I love sort of 70s environmental horror films, and I got a chance to make one. So it was kind of like a dream come true making that movie, because I've been working on it for so long. I love how you're saying, you wanted to kind of hit the ground running again, because I think it's true. A lot of people, they achieve great success and they're like, I need to follow it up with something better. Right. They put too much maybe emphasis on that, or pressure on themselves. It's always hard, and because it's very hard. I think what happens is
people with their first thing it sometimes takes them a decade to get it made. And with Quick, I had 10 years of thinking about the kind of movie I wanted to do before I made it. And there's so much detail and care in that. And then once that gets done, I mean, literally the week after the studio bought that movie, they were saying, "Can we make a sequel?" Which I said, no, I don't want to do one so quickly because it took so long to work out the first one. I have to think about what the second one would be in order to make sense. And the people couldn't understand why you wouldn't just take the cash and do it. But I think if you're interested in longevity and quality, you can take a beat and say when we're ready, we'll do it. And it took me a long time to actually get the sequel made, but when I did do it, it was the right thing because it's actually the right. It's the right idea.
It wasn't forced.
No, it was, and people who understand what Wolf Creek is all about when they see the sequel, they realize that it's totally quite different, but it's in the Wolf Creek world. And same with the TV show. Like the TV show, they're all very consistent but different at the same times, and they're very considered about what they're doing.
How do you stay dedicated when you have a project like you're working on for, like you said, a decade, or a project that's, even 2 or 3 years between projects and you're working on that? I mean, actors, they're in 4 projects a year, 5 projects a year, and
Right.
they do a part and then they move on.
Yeah.
But directors and writers, you're following through the entire project.
Yeah.
How do you stay dedicated during that time?
I think it comes down to choosing things that move you very powerfully in some way. Like you've got to really love the idea, and you've got to try and find a way to keep. You've got to find like the singular notion that you keep reminding yourself of. That's why you're telling it, and that's the thing you want to really talk to the audience about, whatever that is. And you just hope that you get that idea through intact, because there's so many obstacles along the way of making anything at the script stage, at the shooting stage, the ending stage. So you want to try and take that initial, core inspiration and give it to the audience as pure as you possibly can. And sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get a bit knocked off course.
Oh, absolutely, and it just amazes me because it's so long of a time. Sometimes, I mean, especially when nowadays when things are new every day,
right?
And to be able to maintain course on something for 2 years and be able to say this is a good project, and you can't force it either. You can't be like, oh, I need a project a year. I need a project. It needs to take its time.
Yeah. Look, it's it's tricky, and and I think also there's times when I probably should have grabbed opportunities that were in front of me, in hindsight. But everyone goes about it their own way, and
No, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is, "A project is never finished; it's abandoned." Too.
Right. It's so true. Like Jungle, also, like I would still be editing that movie if they hadn't pulled me away from the editing suite, because I was just like, so. Obsessive about every detail, and they had to just say, look, you got to stop. You got to stop. Got to stop work on it.
You can get. There's always that but if we shot this differently.
Yes.
But if we did.
Yes. If we change this sound cue, if we move that scene there, and movies that they're definitely. I think actually Hitchcock said, maybe Hitchcock, movies aren't completed; they're abandoned because you just got to stop.
Yeah, you can drive yourself crazy, literally.
And often you do.
Yeah. Well, something else that can drive maybe yourself crazy is, when a movie comes out, to be able to focus on the reviews or focus on the ratings and what is it getting on IMDb? What are the critics saying about it?
Yeah.
How do you handle that of taking the criticism but not, putting all of your, mind into this criticism, that it can drive you crazy because it's just one person's opinion?
Yeah. Look, it's difficult because it's very personal, and people who say they're not affected by it are probably lying, because it's if you make something and someone says it sucks, you don't want people to say that. You want people to say it's great, it's fabulous, wonderful thing. I try and protect myself a little bit by kind of, if I won't obsessively read everything. I'll kind of get a sense of what's going on, and you can't help but look at, Metacritic and scores and see what's going. But I think the final thing is whether you're, genuinely happy, whether you really think that you got it right, whether you did it right. And then you're kind of protected a bit from what anyone says, because if you think you really nailed it, and some people don't get it, some people don't like it, or it's popular or it's not, you can kind of have that satisfaction that you did the best you could. But of course, everyone, people, make popular entertainment to be popular. You want people to love stuff, and you struggle to try and get things right, and you hope people really respond to it. And it's awful. Sometimes it's so funny though, because when you read, and also now with Twitter, people just tweet you directly and say, "Hey man, you suck." It's like, gee, thanks. And sometimes you read stuff, and you read it and go, "Wow, imagine just thinking I'm just going to tweet the person who I just saw the thing they made, just tell them they're stupid. It's like I read one the other day that was so funny. It makes me laugh, but it's kind of amusing. Where it was like dear Greg at ECP, you really screwed this up, and I just think you're a complete hack. It's just like, well, thanks for sharing. I'll hopefully do better next time. It's fairly funny.
It's the blessing and the curse of 140 characters.
Yeah.
Is what I always say, and it gives people one power, which is, again, good and bad.
Yes.
You feel like you have an influence. But on the other hand, you're hiding behind this right here, and I can say this, and they don't know who I am besides this profile picture.
It's really amusing because it's great when people say something nice. When someone says, "Oh, I saw that thing you did that was really, really good, and thanks for making good stuff," which is really encouraging. But then every now and then you just read something really horrible. It's just like, oh my god! Imagine just sitting next to someone in a restaurant trying to say, "Hey, I saw you're the guy who did the thing. You suck." It's like, thank you very much. Enjoy your hot dogs. It's pretty funny.
What do you hope people gain from your film? I mean, you kind of touched on that earlier. Like, you want something where you like projects where people can connect right away or be able to experience something.
Yeah.
What do you hope people gain from your films?
From Jungle or
from Jungle and then from your other films.
I think they're all about different things in some way. I think Jungle in particular is what really drew me to the story was, to survive the experience Yossi was going through, which was truly horrific. I mean, imagine being 21 years old, stuck in the Amazon, you've lost all your friends, you have nothing to help you, no torch, no matches, no anything, and you don't know what to do. You spend 3 weeks trying to get out of that. Every single night, as soon as the sun goes down, the jungle comes alive with things trying to eat each other and eat you. It's terrifying. And how he, what moved me and inspired me was how he survived that, was using his imagination to project himself into kind of forced dreams. And he had the same kind of 3 sort of movie scenarios playing in his head that were pretty basic, and they're in the movie. You can see these fantasy sequences that he has. And he used his imagination to help him survive the event. And that was really moving to me, because I thought, wow, that's kind of like how human beings use stories and art and music, and that's why we have art. That's what art does.
Yeah.
Because way back when we were all in caves, and at some point we thought life is quite tough and things are out there trying to kill us, and life is full of stress and anxiety and pain, all that kind of stuff. How do we escape that? Well, we use story. We communicate our experience to connect us to the rest of the human race. We talk about how we feel. We talk through love songs, through poetry, through drama, through movies, through TV. We look at other people having the human experience. And so this story, which ostensibly feels like a survival tale, which it is, has this really interesting idea in it, which is that, human beings use art to transcend the mundane, scary, horrible things in life. And I thought that was a really interesting idea worth sharing with people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredible, like you say, the survival. And I think we have a picture. We have obviously the trailer picture, which you can tell he's in the jungle, but there's another picture and another scene in there where he's facing like a jaguar at night, I think.
Yes.
And he's using a lighter, and he's trying to get it to light in a spray can.
Yes. And actually, that really happened. He was being stalked by a really big jaguar for a couple of days. We don't show he was aware there was something following him for a while, and then one night it decided to come in and make the attack. And he had some bug spray in his pack, and he'd seen, I think it's in the movie Dr. Noah Goldfinger. It's an early Bond film where James Bond uses a spray can to kill a big tarantula, I think. And he'd seen this movie, and he thought, I can fight off this jaguar with a aerosol can and a cigarette lighter, which he did, and it ran away because they're scared of the flame.
I'm a big camping guy, so I see
After seeing this movie, not anymore.
I see this, and I'm like, man, I was out camping somewhere east of LA the other day, and I saw my first tarantula.
Right.
I was it was a place called Deep Creek, and it's hiking in at night, and we got lights on, and we're walking on this path, and all of a sudden we see this big spider crawling. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
Well, it's nature though. It's all there.
Yeah, it's just doing its thing.
Absolutely. How important, is it? You mentioned obviously the producer who's making news right now, Harvey Weinstein, and how he helped produce Rogue. How important is it, to kind of surround yourself with the people in the industry that are, with you on your goals and being able to help you? And then how shocked, obviously, and appalled were you to be able to hear that?
I know it's kind of just insane that whole thing. It's just so depressing. Yeah, I mean, look, having worked closely with them, I'd seen, the bullying and the kind of crazy, aggressive, gangster tactics firsthand.
Yeah, because you said with your film, what they kind of tried to do.
They basically, I mean, long story short, we, after the success of Wolf Creek, we got the next film greenlit straight away by that company, full control, all that kind of stuff, and had a pretty good deal to make the movie. Once we finished the film, they had kind of become so embittered by the fact they didn't have the control they usually had that they had decided to hate the movie. So when we delivered the movie, they're like, we're not gonna fulfill our commitments that we'd contractually done to release the movie, and it just became horrible. And when people see the film, they're like, wow, they kind of did it. And it was just their way of kind of demonstrating, power again, which was just so juvenile and stupid and like idiotic.
Yeah.
But it's. I don't think anyone's surprised at them being, everyone knew they were bullies and acted like gangsters and were just, verging on criminal, the whole thing. But I think, I'm stunned like everyone about the scale and the insanity of the allegations. Like it's almost like 10 times worse than you could have possibly imagined. And I was just a guy who got, like many, many other filmmakers, got screwed over by them in some way. And that's nothing compared to what people are really dealing with. Like the women that got assaulted and stuff is just, it's horrific.
How for you though, I mean, as a director and writer, even growing up in Australia, coming here, for your projects to be able to have, to be able to pair yourself with people who are inspiring you and pushing you on your dreams. Did you have those people growing up who are along that way? Yeah,
I mean, we had, at that time I was working with a bunch of filmmakers from Australia, and we had a very tight-knit unit that was, we were working quite strongly together. But I think it's important to have your team or your posse or your group who are creatively looking out for each other and got each other's backs. And you've got to sort of have that. You've got to find your people, and you also want to find the people you want to be creative with and make things with.
And it's amazing, going back, it's awesome to hear that your parents were that supportive.
Yeah, they were. They're amazing.
Growing up in a town where it is like, I like I said, I was in a town of 1,200 people, and it's hard to be able to branch out of that town, and especially for you, of that town, to be able to get into a bigger town, to be able to get into Sydney, or a huge city in Australia, but then to move to LA. I mean, do you think that sometimes of like where you came from?
I mean, I was back at my Vogue's place recently, and I actually, I was thinking about that the other day. I was just driving around doing stuff in LA, and I grew up in my father was a sheep shearer, like he was shearing sheep and and cutting wood, and he grew up in the 30s, 40s, so I was quite old. But it's interesting because I was lucky to have a dad who kind of was very. He didn't really have any kind of sense of like, you got to go and cut wood or you got to go and shoot. He's like, you do what you want to do, like you pursue your own dream, and that was a really powerful thing, and kind of always keep that that message alive from him.
What drives you in the future to be able to get that next project? What drives you?
I think I'm just I love movies. I love TV shows. I'm very, very inspired by story. Story is really my passion. Like the way that stories can change lives, and the way that stories have changed my life. Like and this goes back to what Jungle's about, which is that stories and dreams and imagination can change lives and transform lives. So there's been so many amazing story experiences I've had in my life, whether it's reading a book at a particular age or seeing a movie at a particular age that gave you an idea you never thought possible, or made you feel a way you've never thought you'd feel, or just blew your mind. So I try and, I actively try and, seek out new things and try and keep inspired. And also, every time I do work on a film or, set up a project, I'm walking onto it like I'm totally fresh, because I'm saying I know the tricks that I've learned so far. I want to try new things. I want to do something different. And Jungle also is that, there were some challenges in that we're trying to tackle a different kind of storytelling. So the great thing about filmmaking is you're a constant student. Nice. You're constantly learning. I'm trying, you get to go and inhabit a different mindset for a while, a different skill set, work with new people, learn from new people. And I'm really happy to go in there and say, I want to absorb as much as I can from this experience and do things that I've never done before, and keep developing as an artist and as a craftsperson as well.
What did you learn from Jungle? Is there anything specific that you
Don't go into the Amazon. I think I learned kind of, just the power of simplicity, the power of getting out of the way of the idea and letting actors kind of just be on camera. And there's a real, at the end of the day, the story's about, these relationships and these friendships. And it's about friendships and how they form and how they fall apart and what can happen, as much as it's about survival and determination. So I was kind of fascinated with watching, these actors inhabit these characters and perform these very complex and subtle kind of shifts in, relationship. And that was fascinating. I'm really interested in that kind of, seeing complex characters and realistic characters on screen. So I'm interested in that kind of stuff.
What is your definition of success? So a question that I love asking to close it out, especially after hearing your story of growing up in a small town where your dad is a sheep shearer and the expectations maybe that other people had for you at that stage.
Right.
To being then pursuing your dreams, but living on a couch in an office, and this is my last attempt, and I hope this goes well, to now you're putting out movies with, again, Kevin Bacon, Sam Worthington, Daniel Radcliffe, these multi-million-dollar productions. What is your definition of success?
I think one of the things that helped me keep going through the difficult periods where I was struggling and not getting anywhere was that I kind of removed that idea that, once I get to that thing, I'll be successful and happy. I actually decided to be happy a long time before that, because I think that what we can do in life is go, when I get to that thing, when I get to Success Mountain, I'm holding that Oscar or doing that thing, I'll then allow myself to be happy. I kind of, thought, well, I'll push towards where my destiny is going anyway. I'll try and pursue my dream, but I don't want to delay being content. I actually want to be happy now. And so I consciously try to stay present and focused and really enjoy my life. And I try to, even when I'm making a movie like Jungle, we're in the middle of the Amazon, we've got, we're in very, very stressful conditions, and it's raining and it's storming and there's, snakes and spiders running around. I look around and I remind myself, this is where you want it to be. And I kind of, I try and be present. I don't delay the idea of being happy, because I think that can be a bit of a trap. Because also, particularly with entertainment, it's such a bizarre, wacky industry and a crazy thing to do, because it's so, you're up, you're down, you're working, you're not. It's all over the place. So if you don't have a sense of your own self and happiness outside of that, and if you let that be your happiness, I think that'll be a very stressful, kind of unhappy time.
I love that. I literally, that is amazing to be able to hear, and I think that's something that hits so many people who are in that stage, like you say,
right.
who are like, oh, but if I get this is going to give me the happiness. Oh, if I get this or this title, or I'm able to afford this house.
Yeah.
And that doesn't provide it, because then you get it, and then it's another letdown.
Right. It's another, like, you're there and you're like, I just spent 20 years killing myself this thing. But I do think it's important, that thing of realizing that because. And it's often financial as well. People think, when I get $1 million, when I get this, when I get whatever, it
never goes as far as you think it does.
No, but it's also like the getting there is better than the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's good to be motivated and energized by your goals, but I think that that it's I kind of like I've always kind of lived as if I was already there. I've always thought to myself, what would I be doing if I had those things that I think I want? What would I be feeling and doing like? I just go, just do that now. I mean, and it takes a degree of kind of like removing. I think we also get very self-conscious and very. I think one of the biggest obstacles to people getting what they want is being worried about other people and what other people think of them and appearances. I think once you can kind of totally forget what other people, don't worry about what other people think about what you're doing or the choices you're making, because we can get so obsessed about how we're perceived. And my parents kind of gave me that message as well, like, don't worry about anyone else. Don't care what people think. Do your own thing. Mm-hmm. Live your life, and it's kind of liberating, because you realize I'm not competing with anyone, and I celebrate my friends' successes, and if they do well, I'm so happy for them. But you just gotta you're on your own path, and you can only celebrate what you do.
Absolutely, I love that. And again, I think that's so inspiring. That's it for the serious part. We made it through the serious part. I didn't even tell you. So we always close the show with like a fun section of questions, maybe like rapid fire. So I got maybe like 6 or 7 questions here. I'm very interested to hear your take on just about movies, about entertainment.
Right.
We always have some fun music playing underneath. And so, are you ready?
Sure.
All right. So, first question. Oscars coming up in a couple months. What are your favorites, do you think, for the... We're going to take your movies out of it. You're going to take Jungle out of it.
Right.
What is your pick, maybe top 2 movies that you think have a chance for Best Picture Oscar?
Oh, man. That's so difficult. I really hope that Get Out, I know it's controversial. I really feel like that film is so well made and so good that maybe it has a chance.
Yeah.
Maybe we finally legitimize horror by getting an Oscar for Get Out. What else do I think? Gosh, I'm blanking on everything that I've seen.
You're good. I know, and The Shape of Water still has yet to come out yet. Which is something
right. Okay, I'm going to give that an advance vote, just because I love Guillermo del Toro so much. I'm such a giant fan of his work. I already know I'm already in love with the movie, having just seen the trailer.
Yeah,
I'll give that an advance Oscar.
It looks so good. What actor or actress haven't you worked with that you want to be able to work with?
I'm a big Chris Hemsworth fan, and it's not just that he's an Aussie. I just think he's an amazing...
say it's not the bias.
No. He's just a great actor. I love the way he's kind of developing into more kind of comedic and different dramatic areas, and I think he's a great movie star. I'd love to work with him. Naomi Watts. I've got to stop picking Australians. There's so many good Aussie actors. I come to LA and it's like they're all Aussies. I'm like, where's all the American actors? And
that's great.
There's so many. I love. Look, Kevin Spacey. I think is incredible. There's so many great actors.
No, absolutely.
There are a few.
Best movie you've ever seen?
Best movie I've ever seen? Empire Strikes Back.
Are you also a fan of the new Star Wars?
Oh, look, I really liked. Look, I know it's controversial. I liked Force Awakens. It was not without flaws, but I'm a big J.J. Abrams fan. I thought he did a great job with it. The new one, as a hardcore Star Wars fan, you can't not love those films because they basically play directly to your obsessive nature about, oh my God, it was the Walrus Man from New Hope, and they hit you. They get me. So I think they're I don't think they're perfect films, but I thought they're pretty damn good.
Yeah. It's hard to pick a favorite child, but what is the favorite project that you've put out?
Jungle.
Good answer.
Jungle's pretty damn good. I mean, I'm really, I love the story and love the movie. But, I can't pick a favorite, of course.
Yeah, it's like picking children. Yeah. You're not, we're not totally forcing your hand here. Yeah. But yeah, Jungle, great movie.
Pretty special film.
And closing it out, Jungle, true story. Love working on true stories. What next true story are you looking at that you want to be able to do something about? You want to be able to put together a movie. Is there a story that you've heard?
There's a couple of amazing stories, but I'm afraid if I talk about them publicly, then all the screenwriters out there are going to go, oh, I'm going to jump on the internet and I'm going to find that. And then in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to read on Deadline, aspiring screenwriter for Burbank has an idea about... So I can't say.
Are they stories that people know about, or are these hidden gems?
They're kind of hidden gems, but they're parts of American history that are really fascinating and definitely very scary.
Awesome.
True stories.
Awesome. And we just had Detroit was another one.
Right.
People they love them.
Yeah.
They love the true stories.
Right.
We're so excited. Here's the thing. I would love to be able to get it out of you, but I love the surprise as well, to be able to not know what's coming and to be able to kind of find out.
The element of surprise is crucial.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us again. Follow you on Twitter and send good messages.
Yes, don't send. If you think the movie sucks, don't tell me. You can keep that one to yourself. If you like it, if you want something positive to say, share that. Life's tough. I don't need you to tell me that I'm stupid. I know I'm stupid.
We want to be able to use Twitter for a positive purpose. You have 140 characters of love. Go use them. At Greg ECP. Again, go see Jungle. Just came out this weekend, starring Daniel Radcliffe. It looks amazing. It's going to be amazing. You go see it, and then maybe if you want to go to the Amazon afterwards, you can.
You can.
But this is like your experience of the Amazon.
Without having to go there and be eaten by bugs yourself.
Exactly. It's a win-win. That's what we like to call that. Again, thanks for joining us. Those on iTunes, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, we really appreciate you joining live. You can get a fuller experience with pictures, being able to see this video. You can also join us live in the live chat, leave your comments. Again, spread that love, spread that positivity. If you want to spread that to me, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, @TheOnlyMC. Guys, thank you again. Another episode coming next Monday, every Monday here on Popcorn Talk. Tell your friends, go be kind, go spread love, go do something nice for someone. We'll see you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.